Hello and welcome to our presentation. My name is Wahnke, and today I present to you the place of the environment in interdisciplinary peace reflections. This presentation is based on entries from the Visualizing Peace library. Firstly, I'm going to talk about the environment in peace reflections. Here it's important to note that there is already a specific niche in peace studies, namely peace ecology, that is connected to the environment and peace. But it's also important to note that these publications often only focus on the issue specifically, so on the intersection between environment and peace, and that an intersection with other subject areas is relatively rare. This also means that it only captures part of a peace process, because peace processes depend on a variety of different subjects and issues interlinking. The other two subject areas where I found a significant portion of publications that thematize the interlink between environment and peace were political science and policy studies, and sustainable development. For those two, it is important to note that there is no overarching framework between the two, and that it's often singular case studies that are difficult to compare. My findings in those two areas of research are presented in the next part of the presentation based on the resources listed below. So the next part of my presentation focuses on the findings in political studies and sustainable development. Firstly, it's important to note that in both subject areas, the environment is often seen as a driver of problems more than a driver of opportunity concerning peace. Also, the focus is often on environmental problems more than on opportunities for reconciliation or cooperation that could be presented through the environment as seen as a non-problematic resource. Especially in the realm of politics, environmental problems are often linked to realist ideas of security, where often a lack of resources is directly equated to the possibility of a new conflict. There's a lack of other perceptions on how the environment can lead to the stop or mediation or reconciliation of conflicts. Furthermore, in political studies, the environment is often only seen as part of negative peace. This means that it's often only included in issues of stopping or promoting direct violence, but often omitted from discussions of how it can worsen or improve structural violence. In new publications in the realm of political studies, the environment has sometimes been seen as a risk factor, but also a reconciliation factor. But then again, this has only been the case in specific publication areas that often does not interlink with other subject areas. In sustainable development, the environment is often been seen as a marker for current unsustainable development. This means that environmental deterioration is often been seen as passive or has been taken for granted. This means that the focus has been shifted onto the social and economic spheres for peacemaking. This is also illustrated in the last point, where if the environment is seen in peace processes, it's often only a background condition, while social and economic positions take the foreground. Now I'm going to talk about possible and beginning interactions with other disciplines that could be furthered, in my opinion. So the first one is mainstream environmental studies. While, as I said before, there has been a niche created with peace and environmental studies, the main factor in environmental studies where the interaction between environment and humans is measured are usually areas like migration or conflict over areas of peace, which is why I think that could be furthered in mainstream environmental studies. In security studies, well, there has been a huge amount of literature that thematizes the interlink between the environment and conflict. There's not been a lot of studies that show the environment as a mechanism to achieve security instead of seeing it as a threat. In the areas of inner peace and psychology, there have been a lot of studies that show the interlink between individual or collective well-being and a well-maintained or protected environment, but the link to peace has often not been drawn. In the areas of divinity, philosophy, and anthropology, there could be more of a connection being made between human perceptions and philosophical theories of peace and theories of the environment. Especially, a connection could also be drawn to theories of inner peace. In the area of peace education, significant efforts have been made to introduce the environment into it. What I think could be added is more of a sense of space, as well as the importance of the environment for a sustainable living standard and therefore for peacekeeping. The last area that I'm going to talk about is peace in place or architecture. What I think this area can add to other areas of intersection with peace is a new perspective on the environment, which is less reductionist, in the sense that it doesn't only encompass the natural world, but also the human environment or a sense of space. It's also important to note that this is not a comprehensive list, but just a few examples to where I think cooperation could be furthered. Next, I'm going to talk about the interlink, the issues, and the gaps between academia and practice. So firstly, it's important to note that what comes out in practice, but it's missing in academia, is showing that the environment and humanity are fundamentally interconnected. Furthermore, in practice, environmental problems are not necessarily at the core, while in academia they often are. A lot of environmental peace projects work to use the advantages of the environment for peace building instead of focusing on issues. Also, there has been a great connection between the international and local level in practice, while this is definitely missing in academia, where, as I said before, there have only been single case studies that often don't connect to an international overarching framework. A lot of the practice approaches are furthermore grassroots and bottom-up approaches, and they could take a variety of forms, including but not limited to eco-museums, environmental education, inclusive peace camps, or eco-cultural resources, only a minority of which have been prioritized or even analyzed in academia. And the picture on the right here is from an eco-peace education camp in the Middle East, which focuses on the issues of water supply in the future. What I found especially interesting about this is that unlike a lot of academic research that focus on water supply issues, it doesn't only see it as a source of conflict, but also sees it as a possible mechanism for peaceful coexistence or for future sustainable living, and that it does all this through the framework of sustainable living. I hope my presentation has been interesting and has provided some kind of new interlinks or perceptions on the connection between the environment and peace. Thank you.